Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. My name is Greg Forster, and I am the Executive Director of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters, and it is my pleasure and my privilege to introduce Sanjeev Kulkarni. Sanjeev Kulkarni is the William R. Kennan Jr. Professor of Electrical and Computer Engineering and Professor of Operations Research and Financial Engineering at Princeton University, and he is the Chair of the Board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters.
Thank you, Greg, and good evening. We're delighted and honored to have each of you here with us tonight for the 2023 Investiture Ceremony of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters. We're grateful that you're sharing this marvelous evening with us, and we also want to extend special thanks and gratitude to all those whose great efforts have led to the hospitality that we're enjoying tonight. So Greg Forster, the Executive Director of the Academy, Karen Taliaferro, where's Karen? Our Associate Director, the catering and audio-visual staff, and the event planners. Thank you all for your excellent work. I would also like to recognize and thank Don Landry, the President of the Academy, and the rest of the board for all of their efforts as well. And of course, we would like to thank our wonderful hosts, the Library of Congress, for letting us hold this special event here. We could have held tonight's event at a half dozen other iconic Washington venues, but this monumental hall could not be more perfect for our event this evening. As the largest library in the world, this is a repository of knowledge of unparalleled breadth and depth, and a testament to humanity's aspirations and achievements. This is an idyllic and beautiful setting for the Academy's investiture this evening, as we recognize and celebrate individuals for their contributions in a wide range of disciplines. We look forward to honoring these individuals, and we thank you all again for being here tonight.
Thank you. Here with us tonight to help us express our gratitude and our joy on this special occasion, Provenance Music Group.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Now it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce Donald Landry. Donald Landry is the Hamilton Southworth Professor of Medicine, the Chairman Emeritus of the Department of Medicine, and the Director of the Center for Human Longevity at Columbia University. And he is the President of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to echo, truly echo apparently, I want to echo my colleagues' warm welcome to you all. We are honored and delighted that you are here with us this evening in this historic and magnificent place for the Academy's 2023 Investiture Ceremony. The modern university, whose origins date back almost a millennium, reflect and indeed embody the truth-seeking spirit of humanity when we human beings are at our best. It is in our nature as rational creatures to want to understand our world and ourselves. We are curious and inquisitive. We seek knowledge, and that special kind of knowledge we call wisdom. We desire to move from ignorance to truth, from partial knowledge to greater, deeper, richer understanding. E tenebris ad lucem, from darkness into light. Of course, we value what is sometimes called useful knowledge and honor its tenacious pursuit across a wide range of disciplines. Yet we also value knowledge for its own sake, for its inherent enrichments of ourselves as human beings. We especially encourage the pursuit of what may legitimately claim to be the highest form of knowledge, the deeper understanding of what it means to be human. The determined pursuit of truth, especially of the deepest and most consequential truths, is not for the faint-hearted. On the contrary, it requires boldness. It requires independence of mind. And let us here speak plainly. It requires courage. Learned academies date to the 15th century. On this continent, they antedate the founding of the United States. Such academies were and are born at particular times in particular places to respond to the circumstances of their times and places. And yet, they are motivated by a perennial ambition to encourage, to support, to recognize, and to honor courageous truth-seeking and bold truth-speaking. The American Academy of Sciences and Letters was founded to honor distinguished scholarly achievement across the disciplines of the university, and in that fashion, promote scholarship and learning. A common thread among such academies, to be sure. Responding to the circumstances and exigencies of our own time and place, this academy places a special accent on lifting up for the highest recognition eminent scholars whose exceptional achievements are the fruit of independence of mind and intellectual courage. Members of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters are scholars who have made extraordinary contributions in the humanities and the sciences, engineering and mathematics, the arts and the learned professions. Later in tonight's program, we will add new members to the Academy as we award to each a prize that expresses our gratitude for their advancement of knowledge and the example they have set of independence of mind and intellectual courage. Now, as a prelude to our keynote event, it is a special privilege this evening to confer upon a most worthy recipient, Sir Salman Rushdie, the inaugural Robert J. Zimmer Medal for Intellectual Freedom. The medal recognizes the work and profound witness of the late Robert Zimmer, who served from 2006 to 2021 as president of the University of Chicago. President Zimmer was an acclaimed mathematician whose combination of intellectual excellence and academic freedom became the stuff of legend. It was his inspirational leadership and direction that bequeathed to the academic world the Chicago principles of academic freedom, principles that he applied courageously and even-handedly, thus further burnishing the institution's reputation and standing as a beacon of freedom, freedom of thought, inquiry, and discussion. President Zimmer passed away earlier this year, a terrible loss for his family, his university, and the entire academic community. When, on behalf of the Academy, I approached President Zimmer's widow, Chicago professor Shadi Bartsch-Zimmer, and related how deeply we revere him for his inspired support of academic freedom and integrity, and how we sought through the Zimmer Medal to honor President Zimmer, with her permission, in order that his memory and contributions might endure, she responded, "Bob would have been delighted, and I am too. I hope that the Robert J. Zimmer Medal for Intellectual Freedom will be a beacon for many as we go forward," as Bob was himself. This is our shared hope. And I am delighted that Professor Shadi Bartsch-Zimmer is here with us tonight. Thank you, Shadi, for the honor of your presence. I'm blind and I can't see you. Who could merit such an award for intellectual freedom and intellectual courage? In the last century, perhaps it would have been the great writer and Soviet dissident Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who stood in bold relief, risking life and limb, speaking truth to power. For us today, as the board of the Academy unanimously agreed, it is Sir Salman Rushdie. Sir Salman's challenging and transformative novels have been recognized as among the greatest literature of our era. Midnight's Children not only won the 1981 Booker Prize, the top honor for a novel, it was twice selected as the best novel ever to win the Booker. Sir Salman was knighted by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth for his services to literature in 2007. His richly deserved prizes and awards are too numerous to list. For 35 years, Sir Salman has served as a global beacon for intellectual freedom. You are all familiar with the decades of death threats and violence he has faced with resolute courage. His refusal to be silenced or deflected has inspired millions around the world, providing a model for us all. His example reminds us that the only thing more costly than standing up for intellectual freedom would be failing to make that stand. The Zimmer Medal will be presented to Sir Salman by Professor Shadi Bartsch-Zimmer. After the presentation, President Bernard Haykel, an eminent scholar of Near Eastern Studies at Princeton University, will conduct a conversation with Sir Salman as tonight's keynote event. At this time, I would ask Sir Salman, Professor Haykel, Professor Bartsch-Zimmer to come forward. middle as well? In the podium.
It is my honor and my personal pleasure, on behalf of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters, to present you with the 2023 Robert J. Zimmer Award, medal, actually, for academic freedom.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations. I'm so glad you're the first recipient.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
So it's a real honor and privilege to be here tonight. Salman is a very dear personal friend, and it is a blessing that you're alive, you're with us. I also want to highlight that Sir Salman's wife, Rachel Eliza Griffiths, who is with us here tonight, played an extremely important role in his survival. And I want to acknowledge her and also say that she's an eminent novelist and poet in her own right. So we don't have very much time.
Okay.
And I would like to ask you about several things. One is that you received an award recently in Germany, and you have this wonderful passage, and in fact, it's a speech that was then republished in the New Yorker. And I'd like to read one passage from that, if you don't mind, and ask you to comment on it and to expand on it. Mm-hmm. So this is Sir Salman in his speech in Frankfurt. What do we do about free speech when it is so widely abused? We should still do, with renewed vigor, what we have always needed to do, to answer bad speech with better speech, to counter false narratives with better narratives, to answer hate with love, and to believe that the truth can still succeed even in an age of lies. We must defend it fiercely and define it as broadly as possible. So yes, we should of course defend speech that offends us. Otherwise, we are not defending free expression at all. Let 1,001 voices speak in 1,001 different ways.
You know, sometimes things that seem obvious become things that people argue about. And that seems to me to be a statement of the obvious. And yet now it's kind of quite contested. You know? And I'll just tell you a story which illustrates what I was trying to say. Back in the bad old days, after the attack on the Satanic Verses, there was a movie made in Pakistan about me. I was the bad guy. The film was called International Guerrillas, International Guerrille. They were the heroes. Their job was to kill me, obviously. And at the end of the film, I did get killed, but not by them, by the Quran appearing in the sky and shooting thunderbolts at me. So killed personally by the intervention of the Almighty. I thought there's dignity in that. Anyway, this dreadful film they wanted to get a license to show it in England, and the British Board of Film Classification, whose job it is to give certificates to films, were legally advised that it would be dangerous for them to certify the film because I could sue them for libel as well as the filmmakers. I didn't know quite what to do because here I am fighting a battle against censorship, and I'm about to be defended by an act of censorship.
Yes.
And I had, fortunately, good advisors, and they said that I should intervene on behalf of the film. So I wrote a letter to the board giving up my right of legal recourse. And the film was given a license, and immediately it failed dreadfully. Why? Terrible film. And no matter what people might have thought about me or not about me, nobody wanted to spend their $10 to watch a terrible film. Now, if I had not done that and the film had been banned, it would have acquired the glamour of taboo.
Yes.
And it would have been watched on cheap videotapes behind closed curtains all over the country, and its power would have been enormously magnified. By letting the light shine on it, people could just see it's garbage, and it disappeared. So it showed me something about trusting the audience. You know, let people see what you disagree with, what is actually deeply hostile to you, and let them make up their own minds, because actually most people are sensible. And not everybody wants to waste $10. So I learned from that.
Yes.
You know, this lesson about let 1,000 voices speak, you know. And in the free speech field, you find yourself constantly defending stuff that you really don't like. You defend it not as itself, but for its right to be.
Yes.
You know, and I think if we give up that principle, we're losing something very, very important. If we can't trust ourselves as a culture to accommodate ideas that we don't like, then our ideas lose their value as well, because they become authoritarian. You can't have one set of ideas given authority over another, you know, even though you often think you'd like to. It needs to be avoided.
Yes. You have been very involved actually with PEN, the organization PEN.
Yes.
And it's played a very important role in the lives of many writers. No,
yeah, well, you know, there's PEN is a many-headed monster. I mean, there are PEN organizations in different countries with different degrees of funds and ability to function. And then there's International PEN, which is this sort of umbrella organization. And PEN America actually is probably the best funded of all the PEN groups, and therefore is able to be more active, to take on more stuff. Yeah, I mean, put it like this, when I was attacked, PEN America was enormously active in my defense. And it mattered a lot to me to hear those voices raised on my behalf. And so then, I mean, it's now, whatever, I came to live in America in 2001. And I thought, you know, time to pay it forward. If that was done for me, it's now time for me to join in to do it for other people. And PEN is one of the leading organizations that does that for writers in trouble, you know. And the thing I've always thought is that literature is very powerful and enduring. You know, the writers, not so powerful, not so enduring.
yes.
So, you know, the poet Ovid was exiled by Augustus Caesar to this dump on the Black Sea. Spent his life pleading to be allowed to come back to Rome, but never allowed to do so. Poetry of Ovid has outlasted the Roman Empire. The poet Garcia Lorca was murdered by the thugs of Franco's Phalange. The poetry of Garcia Lorca has outlasted the Phalange. So on, you know. Literature is powerful. Writers are fragile. And so for an organization like PEN, yes, of course, we need to defend literature itself, but we actually need to defend the writers because they're more vulnerable. And that's what we tried to do, you know. And I was president of PEN for a while. I was proud of that. And on the other hand, being ex-president is a much better job, as many people in this city will know.
So I'm curious, you know, when you were attacked, and actually both when the Satanic Verses came out, but also even when this terrible incident happened. And by the way, I should add that, you know, when this terrible event happened, it was another Lebanese American who came onto the stage. This Lebanese American loves you, so there's nothing to worry about.
Okay, no, I have some Lebanese American friends, one or two.
So when the first time and then more recently, many people came to your support, but some did not.
Yeah.
And that must have been either surprising or painful or...
Well, back then, back in 1989, when the attack first happened, there were quite a lot of people who were willing to blame me, you know, for having made trouble. And this time round, I think because I actually got hurt, there's been less of that. So that's what you have to do. You have to get actually seriously injured for people to be on your side. But, you know, the level of support even then was pretty remarkable, you know, and I appreciated it, and it mattered to me and strengthened me, helped me. And this time, I mean, this tidal wave of affection was very important.
And did you feel that the support came from across the ideological spectrum, or was it
Yeah,
more on...
no, it did, this time, yes. I don't know, I mean, I didn't ask for the political orientation of people sending me letters of friendship.
Yeah.
But I mean, I assume it was some of everybody, yeah.
And you've written, I just want to briefly mention that you've actually...
No, I've written, yeah, I mean, I had to write something about it because I needed to do that in order to get past it, you know. And so I've written this short book, which will come out in the spring. And come back and talk about it then.
Good. I'll just give you a hint. It's called Knife.
It's called Knife. Yeah.
But well done. I mean, it's a good thing that you should write as a way of responding to this.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt necessary, you know. And it would have seemed silly to write something that had nothing to do with it. Just, you know, that's to use the cliche, that's like ignoring the very large elephant in the room.
And today, seeing, you know, how contentious, not just politics, but, you know, commentary of various kinds, and as you point out in your speech in Frankfurt, that it's both from the left and from the right. Mm-hmm. What would you tell a young author? What would you say to them about this present moment that we're in?
I would tell them to ignore it and write what you have to write. You know, I always say to students, I said, if there's a way you can find of not writing a book, don't write it. Because, you know, there are enough books. None of us in our lifetime will read all the great books that there are to read already. So if you can find a way of not adding to that mountain, don't add to it. The only reason to write is because you cannot avoid doing so. It's because the book feels so necessary to you, not to the world, to you, that you have to write it. Those are the books to write. All other books, forget about it.
So in a sense, we write for ourselves. For
ourselves first. You know, I mean, I think, obviously, you have a sense of you have a hope of an audience. And I mean, if I'm writing, I have something sitting on my shoulder, looking over my shoulder at what I'm doing. But I think that's probably just a version of me that's sitting over there. I mean, I'm very keen to have readers. I really like readers.
Yes.
But, you know, the great thing about readers is that they're of all different kinds. Ages, races, classes, etc. So it's impossible to say I'm writing for that reader because there's too many different kinds of readers. So the gamble of writing is that you do something in the privacy of your room as a kind of private act, you know, and then it becomes a public act, and you just hope people find something worthwhile in it, you know. And if they do, it's great, and if they don't, it's your fault. So I mean, it's a gamble, you know. It takes a long time to write a book and a very short time for it to be dismissed. So you just hope that's not going to happen. You know, and actually, most of the time as a writer, I've been quite lucky in that from my second novel, I managed to find quite a wide readership. And it's given me a good life, with one exception. But even that exception, you know, I mean, actually, The Satanic Verses is a novel that, until this attack on me, it had begun to be possible to read that book just as a book. You know, not as a kind of scandal or hot potato or whatever, but just as a novel. And some people loved it and some people didn't, and some people were somewhere in the middle. And that's kind of like the ordinary life of a book.
Yes.
You know, and it finally was beginning to be able to have that life. And now I guess it's that been delayed or confused again by this attack. But I hope it gets back to that, because that's what I want for it. I just want it to be a book amongst all my books.
I'm not keeping track of time, but I will just say one last thing. So I reread your autobiography, which is a wonderful book. And in it, you make this important point, which is that, in fact, the Satanic Verses is in no way an attack on the prophet or religion, but it was used politically to sort of, in fact, against its actual message for political purposes.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the unifying things for all the people who led the attack on the Satanic Verses is that they had not read it.
So tragic.
I mean, the Ayatollah Khomeini was on his deathbed and not in the habit of reading 600-page novels in the English language.
Yes.
Never saw a copy, as far as we know. And a lot of the other people who joined in the attack also had that. And I used to be really annoyed by that. You can understand.
Of course.
And then it occurred to me that actually, if you look at the attacks on works of literature, they're almost always conducted by people who haven't read them. You know, I mean, most of the people who attacked James Joyce's Ulysses as pornographic had clearly not read Ulysses. Because, you know, James Joyce was a genius in many ways, but his ability to arouse sexual desire is probably not one of his great skills. People who accused Nabokov's Lolita of being, you know, pro-pedophilia had obviously never read that extraordinarily moral book. You know, and then I began to think maybe not reading a book is a condition without which you can't attack it.
Yes.
If you actually go to the trouble to read a book, it's difficult to attack it in the same way. So I thought, okay, well, that's a good club to be in.
Indeed.
You know?
Indeed.
And now people read it, and quite often people say to me two things about the Satanic Verses. One, they say, who knew that it was funny? And I say, well, people who read it knew that it was funny. And the other thing they say is, what was the problematic bit?
Yes.
I say, well, exactly.
Yes.
You know, because a lot of the so-called problematic bits are actually not there at all. You know, and so this book that was attacked, in a way, didn't exist, except in a sloganized, politicized form. You know? And that's why I'm saying it's nice now that people can begin to read it for the book that actually is there, rather than the one that was made up by its enemies. There we are. I mean, I'm not the only writer to whom this has happened. You know, we were talking about pen. I mean, one of the things we do is we find that writers around the world are being attacked in this way. You know, the great Egyptian Nobel laureate Najib Mahfouz was stabbed in the neck by somebody who disapproved of his work.
Yes.
And so I'm by no means the first or the only one, you know, but I'm still here.
Indeed. I just want to end by saying, please keep telling us stories. Please remain, you know, who you are.
No, please, thank you. I mean, I feel in a way under false pretenses. I feel like I'm somebody who makes up stuff for a living, forced into a kind of non-fictional world. and actually, I just like to get back to what I actually do.
Sir Salman Rushdie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I'd like to ask if Dr. Landry would come forward with the key and open the Academy Register. And Sanjeev, if you would come back on the stage as well. Sanjeev Kulkarni will take the podium to introduce the Berry Prizes.
Thank you, Greg. The Berry Prize for Distinguished Intellectual Achievement is awarded to scholars who advance the knowledge and well-being of humanity through their outstanding work in the humanities, social sciences, natural sciences, mathematics, engineering, the arts, and the learned professions. Tonight, we'll recognize 10 such scholars who have cultivated our capacity for understanding and sustaining what is good, true, and beautiful. They have truly left their mark on the great and ever-expanding canvas of human knowledge, and we are honored to honor them. The Berry Prize is made possible by a gift from the John and Daria Berry Foundation. Matt Berry is here with us tonight representing the foundation, and we wish to express our profound gratitude to the Berry Foundation for their generous commitment to public service. Berry Prize winners are nominated by the members of the Academy and appointed by the Academy's Board of Directors. Recipients of the Berry Prize are also inducted as new members of the Academy. So after we award each prize, we will invite the recipient to sign the Academy Register. We will now award the 2023 Berry Prizes for Distinguished Intellectual Achievement.
Our first Berry Prize will be presented by Brandis Keynes-Roane. Brandis Keynes-Roane is Professor of Political Science at Stanford University and Maurice R. Greenberg Senior Fellow at the Hoover Institution, and is a member of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters.
I'm delighted to present this award to Robert P. George, McCormick Professor of Jurisprudence and Director of the James Madison Program in American Ideals and Institutions at Princeton University. We have a prize cited. You got it? The prize citation reads, "With intelligence, civility, and courage, Robert George has advanced our understanding of the intellectual and moral foundations of our nation's civic order. Bridging the disciplines of law and philosophy, he has illuminated not only the principles and institutions of American constitutionalism, but also the natural basis of justice, human rights, and the common good. The Academy honors Dr. George's distinguished contributions to humanity's pursuit of moral wisdom and liberty and justice for all." It is It is my honor, on behalf of the Board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters, to award you this 2023 Berry Prize for Distinguished Intellectual Achievement.
Our next Berry Prize will be presented by Margaret Chisholm. Margaret Chisholm is Professor of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences and Professor of Medicine at Johns Hopkins University, and she's a member of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters.
Thank you. It's my honor to introduce Jonathan D. Haidt, Thomas Cooley Professor of Ethical Leadership at New York University. Would you please come forward? This prize citation reads, by challenging reductionistic models of human moral behavior with ingenuity, rigor, and wit, Jonathan Haidt has dramatically advanced the scientific study of moral psychology at the individual and social levels. His path-breaking work has helped us better comprehend why human beings find it so difficult to understand and to welcome as neighbors those who believe differently than we do about the things that matter most to us, and to seek peaceful and productive ways of engaging fundamental differences. The Academy honors Dr. Haidt's distinguished contributions to humanity's capacity to discern and manage the most challenging aspects of its own social life. It is my honor, on behalf of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters, to award you this 2023 Berry Prize for Distinguished Intellectual Achievement.
Our next Berry Prize will be presented by Sergiu Kleinerman. Sergiu Kleinerman is Eugene Higgins Professor of Mathematics at Princeton University, and he is a member of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters.
It's my honor to introduce my friend Svetlana Jitomirskaya, Professor of Mathematics, and Richard and Rhonda Goldman, Distinguished Chair at the University of California-Berkeley. Svetlana Jitomirskaya has done pioneering work in an area of mathematical physics, stemming from the quantum mechanics of two-dimensional materials and lying at the fertile interplay of many exciting branches of modern mathematics. In the course of this work, she developed novel methods and new ideas to some of the central problems in the field, transforming the way mathematicians look at these problems and attracting a new generation of young researchers. The Academy honors Dr. Jitomirskaya for her distinguished scientific contributions and intense dedication to preserving the highest standards of academic excellence. It is my honor, on behalf of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters, to award you this 2023 Berry Prize for Distinguished Intellectual Achievement.
Our next Berry Prize will be presented by Barry Honig. Barry Honig is Professor of Biochemistry and Molecular Biophysics and Systems Biology and Professor of Medical Sciences at Columbia University, and he is a member of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters.
It's my honor to call Stephen F. Koonin, Professor of Information Operations and Management Sciences and Professor of Civil and Urban Engineering at New York University. Stephen. In a career spanning the academy, business, and government, Stephen Koonin has mobilized an extensive knowledge of theoretical physics across nuclear astrophysics, theoretical nuclear physics, computational and many-body physics to build solutions to real-world problems. With passions ranging from human flourishing in New York City to the natural environment of our globe, he has fearlessly, in fact very fearlessly, championed the integrity and independence of natural science that are so crucial to its intellectual and practical success. The Academy honors Dr. Koonin's distinguished contributions to humanity's cultivation of scientific progress for the improvement of our world. It is my honor on behalf of the Board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters to award you this 2023 Berry Prize for a distinguished intellectual achievement.
Our next Berry Prize will be presented by Santiago Schnell. Santiago Schnell is the William K. Warren Foundation Dean of the College of Science, Professor of Biological Sciences, and Professor of Applied and Computational Mathematics and Statistics at the University of Notre Dame, and he is a member of the Board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Anna Krylov, USC Associate Chair in the Natural Sciences and Professor of Chemistry at the University of California, Southern California. Would you keep go forward? Thank you. The prize citation reads, as a theoretical and computational quantum chemist, those descriptions of electronic properties of molecules impacts bioimaging, solar energy, and quantum information science, Anna Krylov has advanced our ability to describe some of the most basic material blocks of our world. Her immense technical achievements are matched by her spirit professionalism, investing in mentoring and collaboration, dissemination of scientific knowledge to the wider audiences, and advocacy for those seeking opportunities in the natural sciences. The Academy honors Dr. Krylov's distinguished contributions to and promulgation to humanity's insights into the secret of the material universe. It is my honor, on behalf of the Board of the American Academy of Science and Letters, to award you this 2023 Berry Prize for distinguished intellectual achievements.
I will be presenting our next Berry Prize. John D. Levenson, Albert A. List Professor of Jewish Studies at Harvard University. Would you please come forward? The prize citation reads, John Levenson's meticulous and sensitive investigation of the text and history of the Hebrew Bible has helped us confront the unconscious assumptions we bring to texts, especially texts that are presented to us as divine scriptures. His landmark work in Jewish biblical theology, as well as in interfaith dialogue, invites us into a deeper awareness of what we mean by such essential concepts as gratitude, faithfulness, covenant, tradition, resurrection, and divine love. The Academy honors Dr. Levenson's distinguished contributions to humanity's understanding of one of its oldest and most influential sacred traditions. It is my honor, on behalf of the Board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters, to award you this 2023 Berry Prize for Distinguished Intellectual Achievement. Our next Berry Prize will be given by Brandis Keynes-Roan, who will be returning to the podium.
I'm delighted to call up on stage my colleague, Josiah Ober, Marcus and Eleni Kolinakis Chair in honor of Konstantin Mitsotakis, and Professor of Political Science and Classics at Stanford University. Uniting the fields of classics, philosophy, political science, and history, Josh Ober has refreshed the theory and practice of democracy by connecting its historical sources in classical Greece to its various applications in the modern world. As democracy has spread from a mere handful of city-states to cover large portions of the globe, he has helped us to understand why and how we must preserve and protect its moral roots. The Academy honors Dr. Ober's distinguished contributions to humanity's perennial quest to establish and maintain government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is my honor, on behalf of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters, to award you this 2023 Berry Prize for Distinguished Intellectual Achievement.
Our next Berry Prize will be presented by the Honorable Mary Ann Glendon. Mary Ann Glendon is Learned Hand Professor of Law Emerita at Harvard University, and she is a member of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters.
It's a real pleasure to award this Berry Prize to my colleague and friend, Ruth Okediji. A transformative legal scholar, Ruth Okediji's scholarship has helped nations around the world grasp the revolutionary implications of a unique, simple, but powerful notion that an idea can be someone's property. Her signal contributions to the development of intellectual property rights in international legal systems has empowered human flourishing globally by protecting people's right to own not only the work of their hands, but the work of their minds. The Academy honors Dr. Okediji's distinguished contributions to humanity's development of just laws that facilitate fair transactions so that all may prosper. It's my honor, on behalf of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters, Ruth, to award you this 2023 Berry Prize for Distinguished Intellectual Achievement.
Our next Berry Prize will be presented by Sanjeev Kulkarni, returning to the podium.
It's my great pleasure to invite Orlando Patterson, John Cowles Professor of Sociology at Harvard University, to the stage. Spanning the breadth of history and deploying methods drawn from across the social sciences, Orlando Patterson's magisterial scholarship has revolutionized our understanding of the ubiquitous realities of slavery, bigotry, and poverty. By challenging inherited models of what these afflictions are, how they work, and what their impact is, he has equipped us to confront them with greater depth of understanding and to work more effectively toward their elimination. The Academy honors Dr. Patterson's distinguished contributions to humanity's progress toward the day when all men and women will be free at last. It is my honor, on behalf of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters, to award you this 2023 Berry Prize for Distinguished Intellectual Achievement.
Our final Berry Prize will be presented by the Honorable Mary Ann Glendon, returning to the podium.
It's a real honor to present this prize to Candace A. Vogler, the David B. and Clara E. Stern Professor of Philosophy at the University of Chicago. With plain-spoken candor and penetrating insight, Candace Vogler has dared her discipline to ask what is at once the simplest and most profound of all questions: what is good? The path-breaking work of Candace Vogler has placed this question back at the center of philosophy, reconnecting the field to its original mission and positioning it to make its unique contribution to the pursuit of human flourishing across all areas of life. The Academy honors Dr. Vogler's distinguished contributions to humanity's oldest and most fundamental quest to identify and pursue what is truly good. It's my honor, on behalf of the board of the American Academy of Sciences and Letters, to award you this 2023 Barry Prize for Distinguished Intellectual Achievement.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ceremony. Enjoy the hall, enjoy the evening. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.